Hello, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to control your on-screen mouse without using a physical mouse. So your first question would be, Sergey, why don't you want to use a mouse? And I think there are a couple of reasons. So first of all, there are not too many times when you actually need to use a mouse, except that you'll notice that there are cases when you really need to just focus on a window to activate it, but you don't really need a really precise control over the position of your cursor. Like, definitely there are cases when you need to be able to really precisely select something. So imagine if you're a designer, then you need that level of control, but on a day-to-day use, I don't think that is necessary. So one of the examples here, I'm trying to, right now you saw the initial screen, and I'm trying to toggle from the active screen that I think is active, but I can't toggle between tabs. That's because it's not in focus. So right now I'm going to click with the mouse to basically activate the window, and now I can toggle back and forth. Another example, we can look at some of the websites. So for example, here I'm trying to scroll the page with page down, page up, or just up and down keys, and I can't do that. That's because what we're looking at, the scroll bar on the site, is not from the window itself, like it's from the iframe. And in order to make iframe active, I first need to click inside, and then I'm able to use the keyboard to scroll the screen. So alright, one of the reasons to use a mouse is the carpal tunnel syndrome, which I'm sure that many people who extensively use the mouse experienced, and even some programmers who mostly type text and don't really need to use mouse that much, they suffer from the problem. There are plenty of material about the issue in programming community. So yeah, I think the goal is to try to minimize using the mouse and tire your hand a bit less. So yeah, there are definitely already solutions for that. So Touchbar is a way to control a mouse on a screen without using a mouse. It's just a new way to interact with it. But if you were to scroll something on a screen or make it active, you would need to bend your hand a little bit to reach the touch bar area. At least that's how it is for my hands. And I'm sure that for a long time you wouldn't be able to program just with using the laptop. You'll definitely want to find a way to make it more comfortable. I'm sure that definitely taking breaks is a good suggestion, to avoid all of the problems. But many people, when they work with text, with code, with interacting on the screen, they definitely prefer a setup similar to this, to have a keyboard and a mouse. But now we're back to the mouse problem, where if we use it for too often, then we run into the issue with carpal syndrome. And we just for me personally, I find it a bit annoying to move my hand over to the mouse every time. It's just something that I would prefer to avoid if I can just use my fingers and do something on the screen with a keyboard to manipulate the cursor position. So that's why something that I personally prefer is to use an extended keyboard, which typically unused area of the keyboard, the numpad, can be used to control the screen. And I'm not advocating for this specific keyboard. I think that there are many beautiful ergonomic keyboards. Some are actually coming with the touch screen, as we can see here, so it may work for some people. But yeah, I guess like I'm just going to show you a general way, like general solution of how you can avoid using your mouse with different built-in and custom solutions. So as talking about the built-in solution, one of them is mouse keys. So that's something that Windows support out of the box, and I believe on Mac there is a similar solution. So on Windows you just have to turn on mouse keys, and that is going to enable you to move a mouse with just pressing on the numpad. So 8 would be moving up, 2 would be moving down, 4 left, 6 right. Then if you need to select something, then you would be pressing in the middle, so that would be 5. And if you need to move diagonally, then you'd be pressing 7, 1, 3, and 9 to move around. So you can see like with that configuration, like my mouse is being controlled with the keyboard. Like you can see like how I'm just like one of the ways to ensure that I'm using the keyboard and the mouse right now is like to look at how accurate is my movement across a single line. Like if I'm using the mouse, then like it's jumping a little bit up and down like every now and then. So yeah, but you can see that like by default it's kind of moving slow, and there is an option to speed it up, so I can press Control and I can move my mouse very like in a very flexible way, and in a very fast way as well, like across the screen. But there are a couple of nuances that I don't like about built-in solutions. So you can see that I can maybe like quickly reach out to the top of the extensions screen, but then now if I want to focus on a specific extension, now it's being like really slow. So like I have to wait for that acceleration that is being used with the mouse keys on Windows to pick up with the speed that I want, but it's a little bit too slow. So an alternative to that, someone can say, hey, like why don't you just increase the speed of your mouse by increasing the top speed? And let's see like what I have now. So like I'm definitely moving my mouse a lot faster, so I can like reach out to like different icons very quickly. But now if I press Control, like which gives me that acceleration, like it just goes too fast. So I want to have a little bit more control, and I'm not too happy with the default options like of controlling the top speed. I think acceleration is not really something that is a very good solution. Like it shouldn't be here. Like there just should be like two controllers, one for like regular speed and one probably when you press the control. Like that would solve a lot of my issues. But then let's take a look at some of the other problems that I have with mouse keys. So now I'm going to the home screen, and over here we can see that mouse keys are being shown. So you have an option to toggle between left and right keys. So to switch to left, you press on the divide like division on the numpad, and to switch to the right side you press on the minus key. And now if you just use the click action, then you will see that context menu appears. But it's a little bit weird to have right key set as a default, because like it's unlikely that I will bring the context window, and after that I will want to like keep using the right key. It's more like something that like a one-time thing that I want to use on demand, and not something that being turned on permanently. So yeah, like instead of that, I'm going to change that. Then another weirdness about mouse keys is that there is an option to have both of the buttons active, like both left and right, and I never in my experience had like a need to use both of my keys, mouse keys, simultaneously, so it's like really weird use case. Then there is an option to kind of like hold the button. So for that you press on 0 or insert character on the numpad, and in order to release that, after that you need to press on the delete key or dot key on the numpad. So that's how it looks in action. Here I bring like a folder where I can start selecting items, and basically like you can see that in mouse keys like I have the left button selected, so that's what allows me to and pressed as well, so that's what allows me to select the items. And now I can like select them again and like press on the button again and maybe drag it somewhere. So we're going to build something very similar to mouse keys, but we're going to make it a bit more optimal. So over here I have and for the purpose of this exercise I'm going to use the AutoHotKey. Allows you to basically customize your keyboard interactions on Windows. On Mac, if you want to have a similar solution, I've been using Keyboard Maestro. It is great for creating shortcuts and out of the box, like it gives you a GUI, so you don't even have to write code for it, so that's pretty cool. Now let's see, so I did download the AutoHotKey and it's already installed, and then after that it basically creates an association with those HK extensions or yeah, like file extensions. And for my editor, like you could put it in a notepad, like those rules, but I personally chose the JetBrains products, and there is a nice plugin that would give you some syntax highlighting, provide run configuration, so you can quickly restart your like your scripts, and you can even get some quick documentation pop up, which is pretty useful. Okay, so let's start with me turning off the built-in mouse keys support, and I'm going to apply changes. Here we go. Now I can close it, and yeah, like I'm trying to use the numpad, and you can see that like now it doesn't really react to really move the mouse. So first of all, we're going to write with this simple rule where in order to move left, we are going to use numpad left, which I took from here. So numpad left is basically the same as numpad 4. It's just like where it matters is like whether numlock is on or off. So I prefer to use it when numlock is set to off, so that when it's on I can maybe still type the numbers if I want. Alright, so numpad left should move the mouse 15 pixels to the left, so that negative means it's going to move minus 15 pixels on the x-axis, and it's going to not move on the y-axis at all. It's going to have 0 speed, so it would apply instantly, and then R means that it would be relative to our current position. So let's run that example, and now I'm pressing on the 4 on the numpad, and it's moving my mouse to the side. Okay, great. Now let's do the same so that we can move it to the right. So that's just positive 15. I'm going to run mouse keys, stop and rerun, and we're going to say yes. And now I can move it to the side. So if you were to rerun this script on your own, like not using the JetBrains plugin, then you would notice that it would complain that there is an older instance of the script running, so do you want to replace it with the new one? And in order to avoid this message, you can set the single instance. So basically here we are setting that it would always apply the latest changes and terminate the existing process if that exists. So now when I'm pressing enter to restart this process, then it just restarts with the new settings. So over here we can see that now we should have support for moving up, down, left and right. Okay, great. So similar idea for moving diagonal, just using the numpad home and page up and page down to basically move both on X and Y axis. So let's test that. Yep, now we can move our mouse up and down. Then when I'm holding control, then I want to move fast. So this character over here basically is a modifier key for control. So when both control and one of those keys are pressed, I'm going to be able to move much faster without pressing control. You can see that my mouse doesn't move as quick. So that mode is good for more precise coordination, while this is great to go close to the area that I'm most interested in. Okay, let's do the same for diagonal. So now we should be able to move fast with control on the diagonal. So that basically gives us the same functionality for mouse movement on the as mouse keys were given to us. Now let's see. So one of the features that I wish existed is jump to the center. So let's see. So when we're pressing on the delete button, so like on that dot button on the numpad, then I really want my cursor to move in the middle. That's like a really great starting position, so that you can move like maybe like from one corner to another without like in a very quick way. And it's also great to way to be able to find your mouse cursor. Another cool way to do that is if you have power tools installed, then pressing double control helps you to locate your mouse very quickly. Okay, so just a nice touch to our mouse control logic over here is to be able to jump into the middle of the screen, and we're just basically taking some built-in variables in mouse in AutoHotKey and taking the screen width and screen height divided by 2. That's how we get to center. Okay, this is great, but right now we can't really like select anything. Like we don't have the click action for the left click to uncomment this part, and I need to restart my mouse script over here, and we can see that now I can select items, like click on them if let's say like we're in a folder. So yeah, it works the same way. Okay, so next after that, let's see, like we want to add support for right click as well. So we're not going to introduce the like how in mouse keys we had support for active button. Instead of that, we're just going to press the, I guess, Windows key plus the 5 on the numpad, and that would basically click plus it would do like a right click. So let's try that out, and now if I try to use Windows click, then it brings the context menu. Here we go, and if I just press on 5, then it's just regular clicks at that point. Okay, so this is great. Just something that I sometimes need to use is the control click as well. So I'm going to add support for that as well. So here is control, here is a Windows modifiers key, here is a regular click, and yeah, basically this is how I do the control click. Alright, so that's good. The next thing that we want to add is being able to select items. So right now we don't really have a key where we can press a button and it would start kind of like holding the left key. So for that we can use this code. So we're going to use the numpad 0, similar to how mouse keys were using that, and we're just going to send the the hold command for left click, and we need to return because here we're using the multiple lines. So let's ignore those variables here for now. We're going to come back to that a bit later. So I'm going to restart the program, and now if I press the 0, now I can start selecting items, and then I just pressed on 5 to select to remove the selection. So now I can still press on 0 to start dragging items around. Okay, that's cool. There is a little bit of a problem that we have here. So for example, in my text editor over here, if I start dragging items and then I press on 5 to stop holding the key, then you can see it's just acting as a normal click. That's because we defined it here to work as a normal click. So there is a little bit of conflict. Okay, so for that, now we're going to add a different logic for numpad clear button, which is the same as 5. So we kind of want this behavior. If we're holding a button, then we just want to release and not click, and then we also want to see that we are no longer holding. Otherwise we just want to have a normal click, and that's where those variables are useful. So the reason why you need a dot equal, this way we actually use the values as booleans, which AutoHotKey convert to numbers, I believe, 1 and 0, and then it knows how to work with those 0 and 1 when you use them in the boolean context. But yeah, if you omit the dots, then it would just read them as regular strings, and that's something that I had to figure out when first working with that script. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to restart the script for the final time, and we can see that we can still select items, but now if I select the text over here and press on 5, so I can release the previous selection without clicking anywhere. So this way we're using way less keys compared to mouse keys. We had to use the division and minus key over here. We didn't have an option to jump in the middle of the screen, and yeah, now it starts to make a lot more sense. And if you want to adjust the values for top speed, for regular speed and fast speed, then it's just a matter of changing the values over here. It's very easy to do. Okay, I hope that you liked this example. If you want a similar one made for Mac where I'm using Keyboard Maestro, then please let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching.